everybody. Happy Wednesday. We were supposed to have a stream yesterday, but then that huge news broke about DC. So I had to cancel that stream. I carried over the Doctor Who story from yesterday, and we actually have 2 more DC stories to talk about today. So what a roller coaster of a week. I think today's 2 stories are both excellent. And I'm very interested in this Doctor Who story. But yes, thank you everybody for joining me for today's live stream. I also think it's interesting. Hey Tristan, thanks for joining. I also think it's very interesting that we're focusing on all streaming shows today. That just really goes to show you how much of a juggernaut streaming is. I think streaming gives you a chance to, have more of a connection to the product. I think it's hard to compete with a 7 to 8 hour, or maybe even in some cases 10-hour story. And in that regard, I'm excited to tell some of these deeper DC stories in the HBO Max space. We have stuff like Doom Patrol and Titans, but I felt that those really went off the rails, and both are produced by Greg Berlanti, and I think both became more like Greg Berlanti shows than something they were before, in my opinion. Hey Sean, welcome back. All right, so I also want to point out before we get started, yeah, Franco, I felt so bad that notification went out and then there was no stream. I'm sorry about that. Thanks, Cody. That's so sweet of you. Okay, so before we get started on these 2 DC stories, I want to point out that James Gunn and Peter Safran have not started yet. Hey, Cosmics, welcome back. They haven't started yet. They start November 1st, although who's to say they aren't having some influence already? It's certainly possible, but they're not officially in charge. Although I do think that the Jon Stewart, whoever's idea it was to make this change, it was a good idea. All right, so let's get started. Here we go on story number 1. Hold on, here we go. Boop. Okay, so Jon Stewart. Hey, Brendan. Welcome. So Jon Stewart has been trending for 2 days in a row. Yesterday, it was Jon Stewart, the comedian and now political commentator, who did an interview with, I believe, the Arizona Attorney General or somebody who was investigating that the 2020 election. But anyway, so Jon Stewart was trending yesterday without an H in John, and then today, Jon Stewart is trending from DC. So I think that's really funny. So I liked that. Lisa says, should The Rock be embarrassed? Well, I'll tell you, as of right now, he still hasn't tweeted about it. Some of his co-producers have tweeted, one of them did, one of the people at his company tweeted, but The Rock is still silent, which is very unusual for him. We'll see if he ever tweets about it. I would suspect maybe never, because I'm sure he's really offended. Not to say they won't necessarily work together, but I don't think he's going to put out a thanks. You will see. It hasn't been 24 hours yet. But I would have thought by this morning he would have tweeted out a congratulations. Dwayne Johnson has not acknowledged the new leadership of DC. That's what we're addressing. But I think that's very interesting. Yeah, they really did. I think it was embarrassing for him, and I think that was not cool. Especially, I think he also didn't know about it in advance, or he probably would have said something. So we'll talk more about that at the end, okay? So at the end, okay, because when you can ask me anything that you want. Right now we're talking about Mr. Jon Stewart. And so it was announced this morning that the HBO Max series, and what is HBO Max anymore? I think it's weird they're still using this term because it's going away. And Casey Bloys, who's supposed to be in charge of all content, now over there, all streaming content, his name isn't mentioned at all with this project. So I think that's kind of weird. But anyway, this HBO Max Green Lantern series, which has been in development since 2019, it's still alive, shockingly, but it just got a major change. Greg Berlanti, though, is still in charge, and I don't feel great about that. He's kind of like a low-budget Ryan Murphy. He's like to Ryan Murphy with James Gunn as to Zack Snyder. So, I mean, he certainly has his fans who really support him, but, I just don't think the level of quality is there. But Greg Berlanti's still in charge of this thing. So the person they took off of it was the showrunner. Now remember, if you don't know what showrunners are, in television, you can't have just one writer and you can't just have one director because there's too much content to make. So a showrunner is the person who is the person, it's almost like the director, but it's of the whole show. So this is usually someone who's a writer. Sometimes they can also be a director, but usually it's someone who's a writer. And that's why they say writers are king, or, writers rule in television, directors rule in movies. That's usually the way it's been. Although, of course, as that line between the two of them continues to blur, it can always change. So they got rid of the show. So Greg Berlanti's the producer, because Greg Berlanti makes so much stuff. That's right, Juan. The showrunner runs the show. But Greg Berlanti, of course, has a production company and he produces a lot of stuff. So he's not the showrunner. But Seth Grahame-Smith was the showrunner. He did Dark Shadows. He worked on, what was the other thing? Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter or whatever. I think I was not feeling good about Seth Grahame-Smith. And also, they were going to have $120 million for the budget for this because, of course, it would require a lot of VFX. Now, Seth Grahame-Smith has been taken off the show. He wrote, I believe, 8 episodes. He wrote all the scripts. And hey, Sarif, welcome. He was also, yes, that's right, Sean. Seth Grahame-Smith was also working on Beetlejuice. They're writing off all the scripts that they paid for. HBO is looking for, Warner Brothers Discovery is looking for a lot of write-downs right now. And also, you should suspect that the show will be significantly cheaper because David Zaslav has made it clear. I don't think enough attention is paid to the fact that David Zaslav is very conservative. CNN, there was just a story that broke before we went live that CNN is going to be having even more restructuring. And I think a number of people have already noticed that it's trying to be kind of like the new Fox News. And so I'll be curious. I think it's happening very slowly before your eyes. That it's politically, Jerome, that, Warner Brothers Discovery, it's true, Sean, to some degree, I think that's true. Although, I think Bob Chapek has tried to walk the line in between. But, David Zaslav back in the day has said that he admires, a certain group of the Republican Party. So I think that, let's just watch this space and see what kind of company it morphs into. It's going to be short term. And then also, if they do it so much, how will that affect Warner Brothers? NBC Universal wanting to purchase the company. What would be left at that point? All right. So anyway, very fascinating to me. And then, of course, there are some of you who lean in that direction yourself, who I get like Wade, who apparently think it's a good idea. All right. So anyway, but he doesn't want to spend a lot of money on. David Zaslav doesn't want to spend a lot of money on streaming shows. He doesn't think it's worth it. So they got rid of the Alan Scott, Guy Gardner storyline that had already been cast with Finn Wittrock, who was supposed to be Guy Gardner. I'm like, he would be a much better Alan Scott. And Jeremy Irvine as Alan Scott. And it would have been 2 Green Lanterns at 2 different time periods, cross-cutting and comparing their situations. And of course, Alan Scott has been made an LGBT character in DC, and this would have explored that. And they've jettisoned that. And I think, I was a little disappointed that some people yesterday, one of the things they were most happy about with James Gunn being hired was that there would be less of a focus on female characters because that's what Marvel is doing. Don't say yay, Anthony, because they got rid of that storyline. And so, politics have been creeping into Hollywood for a while now, and it's gotten, I think, very extreme, and I think it's now creeping into the franchises, and it's just really crazy. I think it would have been an uphill battle for this show with that storyline, but if it had been done well, I think it could have been really beautiful. Look at the way things were handled in Watchmen, for example. That was incredible stuff. But I'd have no faith in the creatives they had here. No faith at all. I don't have a lot of faith in Greg Berlanti. I don't have any faith in Seth Grahame-Smith, so I'm glad he's off. They haven't replaced the showrunner yet, but they did announce this morning that this will be a show focused on Jon Stewart. Aldous Hodge is like, oh my God, it's so close. I told you, Aldous Hodge should have been Mr. Terrific. He should have been Jon Stewart. There are so many better places that he could have gone. I really like Aldous Hodge a lot. And now he's stuck in a character that's probably not going to move forward. So Jon Stewart, though, and I think this is a great choice. Now, there are always Green Lantern fans who are like, what about Hal Jordan? What about all these other Green Lantern characters? But for a very large group, people like Jon Stewart because of the animated series. the Paul Dini, Bruce Timm show, which was quite good. And of course, their their Green Lantern was Jon Stewart. Really fabulous character. And so I think that it's very smart to focus on him for this live action show. I just hope it's good. I just really hope it's good. It's going to be horrible if he's stuck. iReady says lower budget for Green Lantern probably means we won't see a CGI costume. I don't know if the costume needs to be CGI. It does need to light up. Will he walk everywhere? I mean, let's see. I mean, I don't know if anybody wants a gritty exploration of Green Lantern's personality, but, I think if you were going to do that with somebody, Jon Stewart would be very interesting. He comes from a military background, which I've always liked. He's also an architect, so it gives him a very, Kyle Rayner was an art student. So, I think it's really interesting. I agree with you, TJ Williams. The only concern that I have is that will this take Jon Stewart off the board for being in the films? We don't know quite yet what kind of world Gunn and Safran are going to build. Will the TV shows be connected to the movies? Will that work out? So I'm a little nervous about it. And I hope that Hawkgirl is there because, of course, we're all a huge fan of Jon Stewart and Hawkgirl's relationship from the animated series. That was pretty steamy stuff. So I'm excited about this. I just hope it turns out well. I hope they get a good showrunner. I'm still nervous, about Greg Berlanti's participation. And let's just see if it ever sees the light of day. I think they're still working on it. And I'm sure that Gunn and Safran will immediately weigh in on this as soon as they punch the time clock November 1st, if they haven't already. So we'll see what they decide to do. But I think this is definitely a step in the right direction. And I think, casting will be key. Showrunner will be key. I just hope it all works out. Fingers crossed. All right, now let's talk about, hey, Tim, I'm so glad that this is your first time that you can chat as a member. That's awesome. And have a good flight. All right, so second story of the day. Hold on. Boop. All right, so there's another show at HBO Max, or whatever it's going to end up being called, still alive, and that's the Arkham Asylum show. I love insane asylums. I've been fascinated by them, as I think maybe because I was a Batman fan, but I've always been very interested in them. When I was in film school, I wrote a screenplay about an insane asylum. I've studied them. I've read the DL, the mental illness handbook. I forget what the abbreviation is. That's right, Stephen. John and Hawkgirl could be like Gambit and Rogue. It's a very, very popular couple. But anyway, yes. Big story about, I'm a big fan of stories about insane asylums, and so of course I'm really into Arkham Asylum. Sometimes the stories can get quite disturbing, but I think that if they walk that fine line, they could be excellent. That's right, Juan. This is probably not going to be too expensive a show either, which is exciting. All right, so this is also in the Reeves-verse. And, just yesterday I was concerned what would happen to that because, you have Gunn and Safran taking over and we're not quite sure what that means for Reeves and Phillips's work. So I'm glad that Reeves is still moving ahead with this show. He has the Penguin show, which is going to be a crime drama. So he's really talking about the two worlds of Gotham that he explored in his movie. The mob, right? And then also Arkham. And so I think that's really cool. So this show is on its third showrunner, which is not great. Third showrunner. They started off announcing it with Terrence Winter, who of course worked on Boardwalk Empire. He left. Then Joe Barton, who was the showrunner on Giri Haji, which was a crime thriller, which aired on the BBC and Netflix. And he left. And now we have Antonio Campos, who ran the Staircase. You can see him there on the red carpet for that show. I didn't particularly love that show. I thought the first couple of episodes were quite good. I thought they were actually excellent. But then I thought, oh, that's right, Heather. It is the DSM mental health diagnostic book. I read that quite thoroughly. It was a while back, so that's why I didn't remember the title of it. But yeah, it was really fascinating. So anyway, Antonio Campos has taken over. As I said, I thought that who here watched The Staircase? That's right, Juan. They killed Toni Collette an awful lot. She did a great job. Hey, Philippe. But I still, I thought the show got off to a good start. I think that they had not too many episodes for the amount of story they actually had. So I watched like the first 3 or 4 episodes and then I just stopped watching. With Denzel, I stopped watching it. But I thought that it had good tone. I thought that it had good production values. I think that it had a very strong cast. So it certainly was prestige television, even if it didn't turn out too well. So I feel kind of okay with Antonio Campos. I think he's not a choice that I'm excited about, but he's not a choice that I'm necessarily worried about either. Now, here's a good question. Now that you have, Amy's right there with me. Yeah, Juan's like, 5 through 8 are worthless. Agreed. Even though I didn't watch them, I totally agree that that's true. So anyway, I do wonder, again, with Gunn and Safran taking over, what are they going to do about the land grab for characters? And how many of these characters are they going to have? Thank you, Philippe. Like, what are they going to do about Harley Quinn? For instance, Lady Gaga is playing Harley Quinn in the upcoming Joker movie, Joker 2. You have, I'm sure, James Gunn is going to work, he's going to make it a priority to bring back Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn, delighting many of you. There's the animated series, which has a entirely different Harley Quinn. And then, what about having a Harley Quinn here on this show? I know that they want to do it, and I think that it would be crazy to do an Arkham Asylum show without Dr. Harleen Quinzel. So, would it be Margot Robbie? Would she agree to show up here? I would maybe but it's a different universe because this is the Batman. Like, how can you have 4 Harley Quinns at the same time? I agree, Paul. I'm most excited about the Reeves-verse for sure. Although, we, of course, have to see what Gunn and Safran have planned. I'm most worried about everything seeming like Guardians of the Galaxy because that's how it's been the case with Suicide Squad and Peacemaker. I much prefer the other tone from Matt Reeves' work. I want DC to be more serious and more highbrow. And that's 2 things that, Gunn and Safran are not. Sarah Paulson, she might be a little bit older for the role for Harley, but I think at one point, she would have been ideal. I would love to see Anya Taylor-Joy. Some people were recommending her after the Batman came out, and I thought that would have been absolutely excellent. She would have been, she fits in that kind of world just so perfectly. She would have been so good. She would have been amazing. It's frustrating to me. I hope that they can move forward. Elle Fanning's also a good choice, Juan. But I really hope that Dr. Harleen Quinzel is on this show. We'll see. Again, if maybe Matt Reeves reports instead to Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdi, maybe he'll be left alone, and he can do what he wants. Ramsey's What Happens with Kravitz's Catwoman show. I haven't heard any development about it. It's interesting. Peter Safran, before the Amber Heard stuff blew up, wanted to do a Mira show. That was his idea. So we'll see what happens in that regard. But yeah, I think this could be a wonderful show. I think it could be like Game of Thrones level, if they do the Arkham Asylum show right, to be honest with you. And I just really hope that it's good. I'm really nervous about it, and I hope they move ahead fast enough so that maybe it doesn't get killed. I'm just nervous about it. I think the DC section is going to become extremely territorial. Who's using which characters, and so I'm just nervous about that. But we'll see. Maybe James Gunn and Peter Safran will focus on non-Batman stuff, because that's what a lot of fans have said they want, and that would be wonderful, if they would just leave Batman to Reeves and Phillips, and they would just focus instead on, Superman and Green Lantern, and, the Peacemaker characters and Suicide Squad. That would make me, very happy. I think that would be, very good. That would be ideal. And then we can all just be still DC would have a fractured audience, but at least we would be getting what we wanted. All right, so Elon, I'm glad you're excited. That's great. All right, so that's the second story of the day, and we'll see how fast this show moves ahead. And I really find it weird that Casey Bloys isn't being brought up in any of these conversations, considering the fact he's supposed to be in charge of all streaming content now, all fictional, dramatic content. All right, yeah, Booster Gold is perfect for James Gunn. Perfect. All right, so third story of the day. Let's switch over to Disney Plus, which had a coup of its own. Yeah, boom, baby. Boom, baby. Cosmics, the third story is always boom, baby, for Emperor's New Groove. So it goes boop, boop, boom, baby. So Disney Plus had a bit of a coup itself just the other day. I believe this story came out late Monday, and that's that they sewed up the distribution rights to Doctor Who. Hey, all my favorite things. They sewed up the distribution rights to Doctor Who for 2023. That's incredible. That is like one of the most amazing things I've ever seen happen, especially outside of their brand. You know, for Disney to bring in an outside brand like this, that's highly unusual. Disney likes to keep everything in-house. Maybe they're going to buy the BBC. No, but that's just, it's incredible. It's incredible. And it's going to really blow up Doctor Who outside the UK and Ireland. Doctor Who already is an extremely popular show, but I think that it's still a little limited in who is familiar with it. I think it's big. It's almost like it was like Avatar: The Last Airbender big. Like, it was very popular. I'm glad you're staying up, Evan. Evan, I'm glad you made it. So I think Doctor Who is like Avatar: The Last Airbender. There is a significant group that really loves it, but it's not huge. It's not like a global phenomenon. And I think now it will be with Disney Plus distributing it outside of the UK and Ireland. That's right, Elon. You said you might finally watch Doctor Who. I might start covering it if it's going to have that kind of access. I mean, let's see what it comes out against, but I'm like, wow, maybe I'll cover this. Break down the episodes, even though I know absolutely nothing about Doctor Who. It's been on, as some of you have pointed out, since 1963. There have been several doctors, and many of them have gone on to become famous actors, especially lately. Not only is David Tennant, of course, quite well known, but Matt Smith, who right now, of course, is breaking hearts and grabbing necks as Daemon Targaryen, started out as one of the as a Doctor Who. So this is a partnership with BBC that Disney now has, and before it used to air on BBC America, which was limited. That's right, Peter Capaldi, who by the way was in the Suicide Squad. He was a doctor. The female doctor hasn't really gotten anything out of that. It used to always be a white guy. That was always who the doctor was, and they would switch up what white guy it was. And he has like a companion, and that was usually a white woman. So they started to change up who this could be, because it's you have to be honest. If it's going to be a new person every time, why would it? Jodie Whittaker, that's right. Why wouldn't anybody be on the table? So that's what they've started to do. And so, for instance, they had a female doctor, Jodie Whittaker. That's right. This is an alien. It's Doctor Who is an alien. So Jodie Whittaker was the first female doctor, and she got a lot of attention. But the show I don't think was quite as hot as it's been in the past. But now they have their first doctor of color, played by Ncuti Gatwa. Did I pronounce it correctly? I looked it up before the stream. I wanted to make sure I got it right. Ncuti Gatwa comes from Sex Education. And I have to say, so I'm very excited for him. He's also in the new Barbie movie. So Ncuti Gatwa is about to blow up. Like his star is about to blow up. I'm glad. Thank you, Matt Go. Excellent. So Ncuti Gatwa is going to be a huge star. Huge. Or, at least, they are giving him an amazing platform. That's right. He's LGBT. And I believe he'll be playing LGBT characters in these scenarios in Doctor Who and in the Barbie movie. But I have to tell you, I'm very impressed with his range. They just had a trailer the other day for this new Doctor Who, and they had only a snippet of Ncuti, but I thought he was incredible. He had such a different vibe than he has in his other projects. And he also seemed very British to me. He, of course, is there a lot, works out of the UK, but he just seemed, like quintessentially British in his performance. I thought his mustache, he had that kind of like stiffness, that, stiff upper lip that British people are, kind of, I guess that's the stereotype, if you want to say. It's like, a stereotype for Americans is like cheeseburger fries in a drive-in movie, right? And bowling and stuff like that. So I think that, but with the British people, there is a certain idea of what there is. So I thought he was coming across as delightfully British. But I felt bad that the trailer focused on David Tennant. That made me a little nervous. I think that, you want the show to be successful, but you don't want it to seem like they're using David Tennant as a crutch and making Ncuti have to share his show. That would be very unfortunate indeed. But, I got to tell you, David Tennant is such a sweetheart. I can't imagine that David Tennant would allow that to happen. David Tennant is, of course, that's right, Anthony, the Brits are delightful. David Tennant is starring in his own LGBT series, Good Omens, of course, which has its second season coming up this next year. I'm very excited. I love Good Omens. Love Good Omens. By the way, David Tennant's son briefly appeared on what do you call it? House of the Dragon as well. He played Aegon as a teenager. Matt says, isn't David Tennant only coming for the Christmas special? If that's the case, that's even more offensive, that he was the focus of the trailer. I think that would be extremely offensive. I think the trailer should have focused on Shooty and then had David Tennant just pop up for a brief second as the stinger at the end. It should have been reversed, the amount of time that they had. But, I think David Tennant's going to make sure that he's very careful. But I thought that Shooty looked fantastic. I was very impressed. And also, he recently made some comments about Doctor Who and how Doctor Who is a character who is, an alien who could be anything. Like, talk about transformation. He can be any gender. This Doctor Who, an alien, could be any gender, any race, any sexuality, because they're not human. And that reminded me a little bit of Sense8. And I think that that's the direction they've been slowly moving this show in for the past couple of seasons. So, and I think when they blow up the range like that, it's a little bit like what they tried to do with Sandman, interestingly enough. And it's going to be on Disney Plus, which will be, Disney Plus, I think, saw how big Heartstopper was. Heartstopper, what a show. I will definitely cover season 2 for Heartstopper. Heartstopper was tremendous. And too late, they threw their support behind Love, Simon. They were like, we really messed up. And Love, Simon, unfortunately, I think seems very sitcom-y and not as authentic after you've seen Heartstopper, but that's okay. You needed Love, Simon to get to Heartstopper. Everything serves a purpose. And for the first few seasons, Love, Victor was quite good, I felt. But Heartstopper is really excellent. But I feel like, Disney Plus needs this type of show. Oh, yeah, Love, Victor. Am I saying Love, Simon? I'm sorry. Love, Simon, of course, was the movie. But I think that to have a show like this would be like a really big deal. Aaliyah, Heartstopper, I don't believe did show up on Nielsen, but it was so incredibly tweeted about that Netflix, and it's not an expensive show at all, that I think, Netflix saw real value there. And I believe it'll blow up with its second season. I think it'll trend for the second season. That's right, Neal. One of the actress who plays a trans girl, and she is trans herself, is going to be in Doctor Who as well. She was quite good. She really, the whole cast on Heartstopper is incredible. They should all be getting lots of work. Again, I've told you, I'm like, there's, Wiccan and Hulkling. I don't know why we're still looking for them. Thank you, Yasmin Fletcher. She's really phenomenal. There's also a really, the actress from Pose is on, what is the show? On Loot with Maya Rudolph. And she does an excellent job on that show. Made me a big fan of her. NJ Rodriguez, thank you. So you're seeing some trans actresses really get a lot of opportunity, and I think that's fabulous. That's just fantastic. Let's see here. The Apex Nerd says Tenet is good people. Whittaker regenerated back to Tenet since they is in to get people to watch. Whittaker regenerated back to Tenet since they established the Doctor can regenerate to past versions. Yeah, I think, that's clearly trying to put an olive branch out to some fans who might have stopped watching the show, but I just want to make sure that Shooty gets his due and is, respected. I think that's important. But again, I don't think David Tennant would allow that to happen. I don't think David Tennant will want to be any part of that. Loot's a great show. I didn't love the season finale, but I'll probably check out season 2 because I liked a lot of it. All right, so those are the 3 stories of the day. That's right, the Bridezilla from She-Hulk is also a trans actress. All right, so it's 2:15. You can ask me anything you'd like until 2:25. I don't have to necessarily answer it, but you can ask me. Evan Moore says, do you think Quantumania will open over 100 million? I think it's going to be a real touch and go there, Evan. I heard they added more Kang, which I'm very happy about. That's awesome. But I feel like there wasn't a lot of interest in the trailer. I don't know if it'll open at 100. Let's see. And in February, I think it might be maybe more like where the previous Ant-Man, maybe something around like in the 70s. Gia, I think we'll get a Little Mermaid trailer, if not in front of Black Panther, in front of Avatar. Avatar's also got a lot of stuff to do with water. So, I mean, I think that, I think there will be a new Avatar trailer in front of Black Panther, and then I think there will be a new Little Mermaid trailer in front of Avatar, is my guess. I haven't heard anything about that specifically, though. I'll tell you when I do hear. Tristan says, any Secret Invasion tea or release date updates? I haven't heard too much tea. Again, I'm not going to be giving out tea that ruins big surprises. I did tell you to dial down your expectations for Secret Invasion, but I think it should hopefully be really a thrill. I thought the trailer was incredible. Juan says, hi, Grace. Oh, thank you, Juan. I recommend The Peripheral. Chloe Grace's amazing. Episode 1 was great. Oh, that's good. I'll try and check it out. I'm still working my way through The Watcher, although it just started to get annoying. No tea on Loki season 2 right now, I'm afraid. Franco says, how does chat feel about the James Gunn announcement? Worried or excited? Okay, we'll take a poll. I'll put a poll in here. We'll just do, poor Peter Safran. No one talks about him. This is not scientific, obviously, but we'll do it. So there's amazing. Not great. Oh, we'll do nervous. And then we'll do not sure is the other one. We'll do nervous, kind of worried, and then not sure. I think that's fair. I guess we could add don't care. All right, there you go. All right, you can vote in that. Dancing Dog 60 says, Wakanda Forever gets spoiled online tonight, Grace. The premiere is tonight. Leaks are crazy these days. Yeah, I hear there isn't too much to spoil, to be honest with you. I hear it's more of an experience. And so, but I would be careful. A lot of people in the next few days are going to see the movie. So just be careful online. 2 weeks is a long time to stay off the Twitters. I'll watch this. Can James Gunn get Sandman 2 greenlit? Well, that's a tough call. He could certainly weigh in on it, and he could maybe throw some weight into it. But, he has to be an executive now. He just can't go around granting fan wishes, and I'm sure he realizes that. The problem with the Sandman is just how expensive it is. And if the viewership isn't there, James Gunn wants to be successful in his new role. He doesn't want to fail. So I think he's going to have to look at things like that too. Fatine says, can you see Adam Driver joining another big franchise, Marvel, after the Star Wars burn? Yes, I know he's in talks. There's other people being considered, though. You got to keep yourself in the public eye. And I think Adam Driver is smart. And he realizes if he wants people to pay attention to him, he needs to be in big projects to make the little ones that he likes to do. So it would be smart of him. It's the same reason Harrison Ford decided to go, also Harrison Ford, lots of money, to go and do Red Hulk. I haven't seen Casey Neistat riding around New York City. I don't know if we're in the same part of town. New York City's pretty big. Way Harris says, do you think Peter Safran would do better teamed up with another person rather than James Gunn in your opinion? Who would be better in Gunn's role? I don't like the team up. I think there should be one executive in charge. I don't think there should be a creative in charge because just like with Jeff Johns, they have their own strong creative preference. So I don't think that a creative should be in charge. I wouldn't pick anybody. I think it's a bad idea. I think there should be an executive. Some people said maybe Emma Watts should have done it, but she didn't want to do it. And I would have liked to have seen Emma Watts do it. That would have been really cool. She did a great job over at Fox. But it's really hard to pick somebody. You would look, maybe I would have looked for somebody in the maybe for my creative partner, I would have looked for a comic book editor. Maybe I would have called up Karen Berger and I would have been like, is she still alive? I hope so. If not, rest in peace. But she ran Vertigo Comics and she did an incredible job. I think Paul Levitz passed away. He used to run DC. Maybe I would have gotten him. Maybe that's what they should be doing. Maybe they should be getting a comic book editor. That's actually my favorite idea yet. Maybe they should be pairing that's what I love. That's the idea. Maybe they should be pairing a movie executive with a comic book editor who understands and knows these characters. That to me would be ideal. I think that just makes me very happy and sad that that's not what's going on. All right, Wanda the Witch says, what are the best Marvel comic stories to read? I need recommendations. I just finished reading Secret Invasion and House of M, and I loved it. Oh, that's great. Well, I would tell you to join Comixology, and they have a lot of really great trades that you can pick up. And if you're looking for recommendations, once you join Comixology Unlimited, when you go on the browse page, they'll often have trades that are trending. And that's a really good way to go and look into that stuff. Marvel Comic Stories, Age of Apocalypse is a great one. You can go and read maybe Daredevil Born Again if you want to get ready for that. That might be a good thing to go and do. You might want to check out Secret Wars. Maybe you might want to do that. Let's see here. I think there are some other okay, so let's see here. Oh, did I miss? I don't want to miss anything. Oh, Jay King says, I'm glad you liked Andor episodes 8 through 10. Do you think it'll do well once it's available to binge? I sure hope so. Whenever they're on Ferrix, the planet where Cassian Andor started out, I got bored again. I would really get bored. But when, and I'm starting to realize that Cassian Andor, the point of the character is that he's almost like our guide. Like, there's a heartbreaking thing with him and Andy Serkis in episode 10 that will haunt me forever. And it was done so well. I couldn't believe how good that was. It's incredible. I have not seen Ariana Grande's new blonde hair. That's funny. I hope that works out for her. Whelm says, get Greg Wiseman, Brandon Vietti, and Bruce Timm. No, not Bruce Timm. Bruce Timm is as bad as James Gunn. And anyone else involved creatively with the DCAU and Young Justice to plan out a cinematic universe. I'm glad you like Young Justice so much, Whelmed. But no, I don't agree with that. Maybe Greg Weisman. And maybe Paul Dini. Paul Dini's super uneven, though. I'm sorry to say. I'm sorry. Matt Hughes says, do you think Wonder Woman 3 will have any impact on the future of the DCU, and will Gal appear in any other DC films? She's in Shazam 2, I believe. If they keep her in there, who knows? I don't know what Gal Gadot's going to do. Let's see. I think she's she's over at Disney now. We'll see what she decides to do. Let's see here. Oddly specific with Audra. I love it. It says, I feel Gunn will be good at connections between projects and a cohesive through line. It's interesting because he recently said he didn't care for that. He said, may keep his style from oversaturating DC's overall tone, I hope. Yeah, hey, I would love to see James Gunn do a great job. I would love to have DC movies and cover DC content that is good. Nothing makes me happier than to be able to have great headlines to cover and great content to cover. A lot of people wondered why I didn't cover Peacemaker, and I didn't cover Peacemaker. TJ Singh, you retracted your message. I feel bad. But thank you, though. I didn't cover Peacemaker because I just hated the show so much. Just personally, it just really rubbed me the wrong way. And I don't want to fight with you guys every week about a show. That's the problem. If it had been a one-off, then maybe I could have reviewed it. But to weekly, and also to rain on the parade of those of you who enjoyed it so much, what's the point of that? Go enjoy Peacemaker, we can agree to disagree. And that's why I didn't cover it. I reacted to the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special trailer. Thank you, Chad. It's also very difficult to talk to people in particular who are fans of Gunn. I thought that my criticism of the Suicide Squad was really fair, and I complimented parts of it, and there are other parts that I didn't like. And I thought I was pretty, even-handed. I think... the fact that I had such problems with part of it, yet I still was able to compartmentalize and praise other aspects of it, I was very proud of myself. And yet people were like, oh, you're coming for this movie. And I'm like, what? Whelm says, I'm not a fan of Bruce Timm's recent work myself, but I feel that it can be good if those besides him keep him in check. I will say that Dwayne McDuffie is definitely missed. Yeah, and Alan Burnett, whatever he's doing. Where is the Matt thing? Matt says there was a rumor online that they've scrapped the Doctor Doom end credit scene from Black Panther 2. Do you know anything about this? I'm not going to give any spoilers. No spoilers. Brett says, hi Grace, made it to the stream. Are you planning to review Tar and Banshees of Inisherin and Till with award season coming up? I don't know if I'm going to review them. I do have a press screening set for Banshees because I want Colin Farrell to win an Oscar. I want Colin Farrell to win an Oscar so bad. Thank you guys. Also, a lot of people don't want to get involved with the people who are so aggressively big fans of Gunn and stuff. So I often find myself alone in these conversations, and I don't blame you because it's not fun in here. But I do appreciate when you sometimes come and say oh yeah, we support you, and that means a lot. Thank you. I would love to be able to review Till. It's just a little crowded right now with my schedule, but I hope that Till is a big thing. Big fan. Thanks, Chen. Elon says, tech issues with my super chat? No, I see that. Sometimes they skip ahead. Am I missing anything? Oh, darn it. Juan says, Bob Chapek is live on the Wall Street Journal talking about the next step for Disney and streaming. Okay, I'll see what he had to say. Did I miss anything else? Welcome, Taha. Oh, Brendan gifted some memberships. That's so sweet of you, Brendan. I hope you guys got some. That was really nice of you to do that. Franco says, we can't all like the same things. That's right. I try to be really respectful. Official Liam says, I'm cautiously optimistic, but not apologetically so. Never be apologetic. Official Liam says, I'm cautiously optimistic about gun running DC, but I'm leaning more optimistic. I think he'll bring a lot of the weirdness. But that's interesting. That's the other problem. So DC Comics has very different tones even in the comics. To me, DC Comics are not weird. So you might be like, oh yeah, I really want to see that. But I'm like, what are you talking about? So I think that is also, so DC fandom might have been fractured even before we went into live action. So that could be just a problem that's ingrained. I have talked to editors at DC about Wonder Woman's fan base being divided between wanting to see the warrior version of the character and those who want to see the more teacher of peace, which makes me barf. So yeah. Sean, I feel that because of the type of person David Zaslav is, that's probably why he was okay with some of, Gunn's behavior. I can't speculate about Doom until Black Panther comes out. I don't want to have any spoilers. I just really don't. I want to be really careful about this. Oh, it's 2:28 already. I love talking to you guys all the time. Ben's, I'm not going to cover Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities. I'm not a big, I just don't think that, it's too small. I have other stuff to do this week, which you'll see. TJ Singh, that I don't understand your comment because Black Adam, I'm glad you liked it, but going with Gunn over Dwayne Johnson is a strike against Black Adam. So, but I'm glad you're just having a great time. That's what I'm going to take from your comment. Jerome, did I miss your super chat? Oh, Super Extrovert says, do you think we get a live action version of the Batman Who Laughs? Maybe. I got to tell you, I'm not a fan of the Batman Who Laughs. So, I would not want that. Hey, Sarah, I'm so glad you made it. All right, let me see if I missed anything. I wish that YouTube wouldn't do this. Thanks, Amy. I wish that YouTube wouldn't skip over people's stuff. It's really frustrating. I don't see any missed things. Why, YouTube? Why do you do this to me? Steven says, did you say Pablo Larraín is teaming up with Angelina Jolie for his next film about opera singer? You wrote Oprah. That's funny. Opera singer Maria Callas. Let's see. I think that's a great opportunity for Angelina Jolie. Mike Drop says, on the Lindelof story from yesterday or Monday, I love the unique view and amazing world building he did with Watchmen, so I have good expectations on Star Wars. Yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic about that, This morning, somebody compared James Gunn to Amy Pascal and the way they were able to come back from a big scandal. And I think that's an excellent comparison. You never know. And Damon Lindelof as well. He managed to rise from the ashes that were Lost, the end of Lost. Who knows? Maybe Benioff and Weiss will turn things around someday. Who knows? We live in a crazy world. Tristan says, who is your dream casting in the MCU? I would like to see Adam Driver in the MCU in a specific role. But the other choices they have for that character are also excellent. I think it would be hard for them to mess that up. Oh, thanks, Taha. Way says, magic in DC is based on Black Adam has potential. Dr. Fate really set the bar. Can you imagine Constantine or Zatanna? I hope so. I mean, let's see. I don't know what's going on with that Zatanna movie. All right, so let's see how the poll's doing. We'll end the poll. You guys are pretty divided. So, nervous, kind of worried, one. That's right. See, you guys, people are like, Grace, you're the only one who's nervous about this news. But I think other people are just being quiet about it. So that's 33%. 26% think it's amazing. Not sure. Also, this is a spot poll. It's not scientific. 26% think it's amazing. That's fantastic. That's what I would expect, actually. So like a quarter. So 3/4 are not jazzed about it, but a quarter is. And I gotta tell you, I would expect to see that reflected in box office and audiences. I hated Brightburn. As you know, I refuse to review it. All right, so I've done it. Let's go on to shout-outs because I already went 5 minutes over. I don't know if Emilia Clarke is playing Abigail Brand in Secret Invasion for sure. It might be an amalgam. I'm pretty sure she's playing Talos' daughter, but it could be a mix of the two. They might combine them into the same character, which would be an interesting idea, which would make total sense, quite frankly. All right, so I didn't get White Lotus screeners, Juan, and I don't know if I'm not gonna. White Lotus is a show I want to watch. I have a special thing coming up on Twitter that was supposed to drop today for super followers, but is probably going to now drop tomorrow or Friday at this point because there was a little bit of a delay. It's going to be pretty cool. I'm not allowed to talk about it really, but I'm really honored because only 5 people in all of Twitter are getting to do this, so that's amazing, and I'm just so honored that they picked me. But I will be doing something with shows with what that is. So if I might be doing, let's just say I'm going to be doing something with shows that I don't do video coverage of on Twitter. Thanks again, Taha. So you might want to super follow me. I know I've been lax in the super following in the past 2 weeks. I apologize. But super following is about to become a hot space. So everybody just say hi to me in some ways that you would like. Just tell me what you're up to, what you're doing, if you're eating anything, if you have anything for lunch. Hey, Matt, I saw your DM. I'll get back to you shortly. Britt says, will we get Poison Ivy in Arkham Asylum or James Gunn DC? I bet James Gunn takes that first. It's a race to see what James Gunn will direct. Some people feel it'll be Superman. I feel it'll be Gotham City Sirens. So let's see. If he doesn't direct thanks, D. If he doesn't direct Gotham City Sirens, he will at least, I think, greenlight it. Hey, Chen. I hope you like your iPhone 14 Pro. I think I'm going to get one. Bell Trailers is saying scheduling flu and COVID booster vaccine shots. Good for you. I'm getting my flu shot this week, and I got my booster a few weeks ago. They recommend, I don't think, to get them at the exact same time, Bell, but, just do whatever you need to do. Whatever's easiest for you. Max says, at Wesleyan, about to super follow you. Thanks, Max. Lewis says, I've seen the first 2 episodes of The Peripheral 3 times. Wow, Lewis, you really like that show. That's fantastic. Sarif says, it's 1:33 a.m. here, and I'm drinking coffee. Thanks for staying up. Let's see here. I'm nervous too, Philippe. Desert Knight says, about to go to bed in Dubai, still jet lagged from my trip to New York. Oh, how cool. What great places you are. Dubai is an incredible city as well. I hope we had a good time here. Keith says, drinking cranberry ginger ale and drawing on a sunny autumn day in Canada. That sounds so lovely. Henry says, getting ready to go out and buy some winning lottery tickets so I can afford to escape from Indiana. Henry, that's hilarious. That's so funny. I'm sure Indiana's great, but that's funny. My mother had similar thoughts about Pittsburgh. But, I still enjoy going back to Pittsburgh. I was just there, as you know, like a week or so ago. Let's see here. Thomas says, making spaghetti bolognese in Stockholm. Oh, I'm a big fan of bolognese. One time, try making it with tagliatelle. Your mind will be blown. Anthony says, hey, Anthony. Hey, in the UK, I sent a tweet about how hard DC fans can be, and you are so... that's very sweet of you, Anthony. You really make a difference. I see your really lovely comments, and I can't always respond to everybody. And sometimes I don't respond because I don't want to, fan the flames of trolldom. But know that I see almost all tweets. I'm really engaged on Twitter and in the comment sections on YouTube. So for better or worse, when sometimes it hits a rough patch, I see pretty much everything, at least for the first 48 hours on a video. Taha, I don't know what's going to happen with Zatanna. I think that's going to be delayed. Poor Emerald Fennel. Hey, Val, welcome back. Bence is eating a barbecue burger for dinner and hungry. Excellent. Brit's on her Peloton. That's awesome. I love it. Juan Gabriel says, have a nice day. I'm on my way to my little brother's birthday party. Happy birthday to your little brother. Cheers from Argentina. That's so sweet. I'm glad you and your sibling are close friends. Thanks, Anthony. Chad said, sitting at my desk on the Upper East Side, about to go grab lunch. I hope you're enjoying your new braces-free life, CJ. Carlos is going to McDonald's. Oh, so jealous. Let's see here. Juan Cruz says, hi, Grace. I'm watching Shang-Chi before the live stream. Saw the bus fight and thought of you. Yeah, that's such an incredible scene. That's the scene where I was like, that and Tony Leung's death scene, I was like, this is a special movie. Carter says, preparing for my long-distance boyfriend to visit me tomorrow. Oh, I hope you have fun. Oh, that's great. That's so nice of you to get ready for him. That's really cool. That just shows how much you care. Super Extrovert says, hey, Grace, I'm relaxing after a morning working out. It's first for breakfast in Seattle. Happy Wednesday. Oh, it sounds like you're having a great morning. Millie Jo says, drinking Diet Pepper and working from home. Excellent. Love it. Mandela Butterfly says, DC has so many superheroes. They're going to need more TV shows and special presentations too. Let's see. I hope they don't expand too quickly. Sarah says, hi, Grace, coming at you from Dublin, Ireland. It's only 7:30 p.m. here, but I'm getting ready to head to bed as I'm working nights at the moment. Oh, I've been there, Sarah. When I was doing 3 a.m. watch-alongs, that's tough. That's tough. But good for you for staying on schedule because you'll really regret it if you don't. I heard Ireland is lovely. I have a friend who went to Ireland and just fell in love with it. Ben says, very bored at work. Thank you for helping me pass the time. My pleasure. Thank you, Statuesque16. I appreciate that. Let's see here. Keith says, what month should we super follow you? Churn, baby, churn. Keith, well, if you need to churn, just wait until I can officially announce it. You know, it's not an emergency. Unless you're planning to if you're planning to watch White Lotus on Sunday night, then you might want to super follow me. Sarah, you are doing the 3 a.m. schedule. Bye, Jander. I'll do a couple more, and then I got to go. Philippe says it's 15. Oh, look at you. You're on 24-hour time. So you're in Brazil. Brazil, lovely place. Super Extrovert said, I just met someone from Ireland last week. We saw Black Adam together. That's awesome. Adrian said, took some time, but finally a member. Welcome, Adrian. It's so nice to have you part of the conversation. Hector, I will talk to you about Black Panther as soon as I can. Denzel says, I am buying and restocking on art supplies. We're shopping together. That's great. My pleasure, Cosmics. Gritter says, what exact... I am... Gritter, that's a great thing. I am certainly understanding of memberships being a cost, super followers being a cost. You know, you do whatever's good for you. Really, whatever you feel you get value for. I try to keep the cost as low as possible on both these things. So, you know, just do what, you know, if you're really into TV and stuff like that, it might be worth it to you. But if you just want to, you know, stick to one thing, I would stick with the membership here on YouTube. Twitter's like just a little extra thing. One, I am excited for Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I wanted to do this Twitter thing for that, but I don't know if it's going to be ready in time. Poor Garcelle. Ivan says, here in Mexico, working and rendering some videos. Awesome. I got to get a new desktop computer because my laptop renders like instantly. I'm like, what? But I want a desktop that's the 27-inch. And so I'm waiting for Mac to debut a 27-inch desktop. They might get one hopefully next year, but I'm annoyed that I have to wait. Rashad said, enjoying this live stream before I get a haircut. Awesome. Always nice to see you, Rashad. All right, I'm going to get going. I had a lovely time talking to all of you, as always, and I don't think I'll be doing a live stream tomorrow. I might do one on Friday, and I am planning to do a live stream on Halloween. But it'll be early on Halloween. I'm doing a half day on Halloween. So mark your calendar for a live stream like at around noon, Eastern Standard Time on Halloween. So that's right, Denzel. My desktop's like Vagar. Still works.